Okay, so this is Florence, and it's July 28th. Okay, so you want to start with the physical and psychological again, like we did with the last one?
Yep. I think I focused on her optimism really here because I think she was someone where her optimism took a decent jump.
Yeah,
A
38.
really big jump. I shouldn't say decent.
Yeah, 38 points.
Right.
Now, Florence is anywhere from 15. I'm going to say anywhere from 15 to 17 because it's been a year and a half, like currently as of today. When she started with us, she was 15. So, and a lot of, just so that people understand, younger ones can go into this impact study because of their life experiences, right?
Yeah.
They've been trafficked and all that other stuff. So I'm just going to look at her original one, Florence. She's free. She was labor trafficked. She has no children. She is currently free, though. And Florence is receiving her monthly stipend from you every month. So, yeah. Her mother, yeah, okay. So let me just read.
And she has not received any medical aid, I don't think.
Not to date, she is not. But what she has received that you did get for her was a phone.
Her cell phone, yep.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. The phone is like a two-edged sword, really, because it's bittersweet. You got a phone, but you also have the money. You have to have the money to run the phone, have the internet, and buy the minutes and all of that stuff. So buying the phone is great, but if she doesn't have the money to apply that phone, use that phone, then she's sunk. So like Faith has a phone, but she hasn't picked up her sustainability fee in a while. So it could be why we can't get in touch with her. One of the important things about having a phone with our cohort members is so that we can stay in contact with them to make sure that they're okay, they're doing all right, letting them know when our meetings are, to remind them, or if they can't come for whatever reason or they're medically something's wrong, they can contact Seraphin or another cohort member and all of that. So a phone is also something that, let's find out if they have a phone or not. You know what I mean? I think that's important so that we know whether we can I'd like to put a phone in the budget for 2021,
Right.
But getting back to Florence, her optimism, amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did touch on the fact that, being between like the ages of it's really like 13 to 18, those are really the most influential times when you form your adult psyche. So I think she's actually in a great age group for us to see her change. And it's probably one of the most influential times in her life where she can actually mold.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at her social. What did she go up the highest? Social responsibility, 53 points.
Yes.
Reality testing, 51. Her total EI, and she is being thrown in with a group of 18 plus year olds. So for her to come in at a pre-score of 86 was really not too bad for the age of 15. And for her to end at 107, pretty close to the higher end of the norm of 90 to 110 is really, really amazing. Let me look at some of your notes. May sway her physical overall scores. Let's look at her physical. Look at her physical health. Whether we had happiness in as a subscale or not, she's still, without happiness as a subscale, she's at 8.4. When we add happiness, it's 8.2. No real difference, so there's no real difference in her physical health, whether we add happiness or not. Yet her psychological health, she's up a couple of points if we add optimism and happiness.
Right.
which is kind of interesting to me. And we're gonna do that overall chart with just those two things with um, all the cohort members.
Right.
She did have a decline in stress tolerance, age-related changes. Yep. Who knows what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Overview. Let's see her stress tolerance. She went from a 100. Yeah, she went down 8 points.
Mm-hmm.
It might be that, as you're younger, you don't really consider. I mean, look at her reality testing. It was 76. Now, we don't know why that was 76 and it spiked to 127. Her her stress tolerance went from 102 to 94, but 102 at midpoint it went to 78.
Right.
And then back up to 94. So obviously there was something going on, right?
Right.
And I know I talked about this on the video with Seraphin. I kind of thought it was just an observation, and I wondered when we first met her, her goal, her big dream was to become a nurse, and currently she is learning a trade, which is okay. I mean, she needs to. And she's not going to school right now because of where she lives. Education is not being offered where she's living, and I'm not sure. It's so turbulent when it comes to the education system there because of the Civil War. They may open up and then they'll close down. Open, close, open, close. It's very temperamental. So I know Florence wanted to go to school. She's not in school. She decided to take a trade and pick up a trade instead. That might be why her stress tolerance actually went up from 78 to 94. Maybe she was getting stressed over finances and she decided, you know what, I just need to do something. And at about midpoint, she did decide to pick up a trade anyway.
Right.
So maybe her stress was financially related. I don't know. Her self-regard went down 10 points, right? Which was interesting too. Let's see.
I think I did. I commented on her self-regard at some point, I think, in here, but let's see. Oh, it's towards the end, but her self-regard decreasing that much, I don't think was that shocking for me. I think self-regard changes are usually probably much more dramatic in the normal teenage population. So I think this is an expected change. I don't think that that's a reflection of anything that's happening in the program. I think that's just a reflection of age-related changes.
Yeah, and we don't know unless we actually test that out. You know what I mean? See
right.
And again, she's being lumped in with 18-plus-year-olds.
Exactly.
And again,
but there is a component there that she is very mature with her life experiences for her age, but still, hormonally, her balance is still going to be more similar to a teenager. So.
Yeah, her cognitive self is still growing. And she's got several years left. Before her brain is completely grown and you know what I mean? So.
Right.
Again, this decrease could be that she respects herself, but her confidence level is less, or it's not her confidence level, but her respecting herself. It could be, have something to do with the fact that she wanted to go to school, become a nurse eventually, go to university and become a nurse, and now she's had to take a trade. And maybe she feels as though she's letting herself down, but she knows she's doing what she has to do. This was a question for Seraphin, what's going on, on with Florence regarding learning a trade versus, education, which equals, a nursing degree. And I did mention to her that at some point, getting a trade, if that's what you want to do and that makes you happy, that's great. But if you always wanted to be a nurse and you really want to go get educated and you're 15, 16, 17 years old and you know your education basically has been removed from your life, you're picking up a trade because you need to financially be independent at that young age, sooner or later it's going to have an adverse effect. It's going to have a negative effect. And like I keep saying, we don't want to stand on our laurels. You know, you look at this overall and you say, oh my gosh, 21 points, she went up. She's doing great. Look at her, you know. We have to help her out in a few little things here or there, but it might be age related, blah, blah, blah. You know what? You can't stand on your laurels. You have to look at this and say, you know what, what's in between the lines? The quantifiable results on here are great, but you got to qualify them and see really what's going on. Until you have those conversations, you know, you can't just look at numbers. You've got to talk to the person. You've got to do that other part of research, which is really, really important. And I, you know, if I have to go shoot from my gut, I have to say that she probably is doing what she needs to do. And her happiness score is still at 106. She still went up 7. Her optimism went up 38 points, which is good. Self-regard took a little bit of a hit. And see, her self-regard took a hit, but her optimism and happiness increased.
Right, which makes me think that it's more age-related than her actual view on herself.
It could be. Her reality testing also really skyrocketed. And her problem solving did go up 8 points. It's not where it needs to be, but it did go up 8 points. Stress tolerance, her ability to cope with stressful situations went down. Her adapting emotions and thoughts and behavior, you know, her flexibility just was, it stayed the same. It went up, then it went down. You know, I like to see either a steady increase, a steady decrease, or a steady no anything. But when something goes up and down and all around, that's when you got to look at it, you know. For interpersonal relationships, she went up, she went down, you know. Look at her social responsibility.
Her social responsibility, yeah.
You know, it was really low. It skyrocketed, which says to me that, you know, again, her age, right? And everything, she finally realized that, you know, maybe I need to be part of the solution, and I can be part of the solution. And then it went down to 115. I think it stabilizes. I think, you know, sometimes when something skyrockets like that, it's got to come down a little bit, you know. You know, and sometimes I just say, you know what, let's see how they're doing in 6 months from now and see if we can't see what's going on. She's got you know, if I look at her balancing EQIs, you know, if you look at it, it's what's out of whack is her self-regard, problem solving, impulse control, a little self-actualization. You know, she does have a few things going on here. You know, she's overall in balance. If you look at the 5 composites along with happiness, she is in balance, right? But when you look deeper into the subscales, you know, she's not.
There's some that are kind of out of whack, yeah. Problem solving.
Self-regard, independence, her optimism, you know, and if something has to be too spiked high, you know, might as well be optimism, you know. I don't know if there's, I don't know. There could be such a thing as being too positive. But if I look at her optimism in relation to her reality testing, those are in balance. So it doesn't concern me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let me go through your stuff. Yeah, we've, you know, more sponsors, but, you know, that goes. You know, 2021 is a shit show. It's gonna be very hard to fundraise because everyone's in a very bad financial situation.
Right.
You know, but we can definitely gear up and be ready by maybe 2021 when maybe all this stuff passes. She jumps. Yep. I like how you bring in the development, whether it be emotional, psychological, cognitive development into each of these cohort members, especially the younger ones.
Yeah.
It's amazing, really, to me that they are being tested against 18-plus-year-olds, and yet they're holding their own.
Right.
And I really think it has to do with the life experiences is what is letting them, hold their own. I don't think, an average 15-year-old who doesn't have those kinds of things going on in their lives is going to score like that. I would never, actually, I would use the youth version anyway. There's no way I would even I would never use this with anyone who has not gone through these types of experiences.
Right.
We really, in regards to your working with Florence, we really want to have the younger ones continue either in in some kind of capacity,
Good.
we want, so that would be Florence. We want Florence, Faith, Precious, and Rafina, who it will be starting at the 2021. She's actually been hit or miss. She's been in and out this past year. Well, yeah, I would say this past year. I think she started maybe in fall of last year, but it was hit or miss. Sometimes she came, sometimes she didn't. I think it was in the summer, and Seraphin decided that it would be better if she started. And at that point, COVID wasn't around, so we thought we would start in March of 2020, So Rafina is one of the younger ones as well. So we want those 4 to continue on. We find it to be extremely important. We are going to reevaluate that. It might be that we have a cohort with just the young ones separately. We're not sure. I would definitely go with whatever Seraphin thinks is best. So yeah, we definitely want to keep her, Florence, in, keep her engaged. And
I think having her in on a basically as a mentorship role will also be really beneficial for her growth as well. So,
and as a peer mentor, peer-to-peer mentor, for maybe some younger, the same age, I should say, of those coming into the 2021 cohort would be important. I think is important. Not I think. I know it's important. And you have this question for Seraphin. I'm going to reiterate. Oh, shoot. Let me redo that. I'm going to reiterate it on my notes here for her, and we'll get some kind of feedback from her.
Yeah, I think that's especially important to know for our younger cohort members. Teenagers in general will depict their confidence more in a physical manifestation than in a verbal manifestation. So seeing how her hygiene is, how her posturing is, and when you're meeting, and if she has a presence in the room, I think that's going to tell us more than what she says verbally.
I know that Precious, I think it was, really has made a transformation in her body language, her outward appearance. Most of them have, actually. Seraphin and I have spoken about their physical appearance and how they dress and their self-care, I should say, physically and emotionally, psychologically, all of it. There isn't one who has not made a change for the better. That I do know, because we've had several conversations about it. But it would be interesting to know on each one. I did ask that question in each of the videos. Actually, when I talked about the physical and psychological, And I asked her, I'm pretty sure I'd have to go back or go through the transcripts. So we'll ask them.
Yeah, I know Seraphin did say that she feels that she is more confident. But just like, I don't know if we touched specifically on her for her self-care and her posture and those sorts of little things. It's not really super important, but.
No, I think it is important. So I'll definitely pose that question to her. Your observation here in regards to self-regard, I don't know if it's on a decline or not. I do have a concern with that, only because I know she was so excited to start school, and she really had that huge dream of becoming a nurse and an educator in that field, the medical field. She was very excited when she was sponsored, very excited when she got the phone. And I think at that, and for her to go down by 10 points does concern me. It's just a concern, something I want to keep an eye on, really. It's not like, oh my gosh, what happened? But I think there is a question that needs to be asked in that, how are you feeling with this trade? And I did ask Seraphin to talk to her specifically about this, to let her know that we are behind her still in regards to getting her educated and having her go into university. However it's got to be, however we can get her sponsored by it, we're there to support that effort. And that might just be enough to know that at some point in her life it's going to happen. I don't know.
So I think when I was reviewing the videos, I think this might have gotten confused with Precious's video, because I did comment on, unless Precious also wants to go in the medical field, I'm not sure.
Let me see. Precious.
Because on my comments for her, I do talk about this a little bit, but it goes towards Florence as well.
Precious just wants to go to school. I got nothing about being a nurse.
Maybe I was just confused a little bit in that video, but that's fine. So, I mean, even talking to Florence, like, I wanted to work in the medical field my whole life, but I took time and had to tutor and do these other things. And you talked a little bit in your video about having stepping stones to your ultimate goal, right? This is just like a means right now. But I think even just having a conversation with her that doing a trade right now doesn't necessarily mean you're giving up on what your dreams are. It's just your path is different than what you viewed for yourself originally, which is how this always goes.
Maybe there's an opportunity to have a conversation with her directly from you, and we set up that kind, we set up a time where you can speak to her, or even, she has a phone. I don't have her. Maybe, what we need probably is phone numbers for our cohort members. Just
so I could even WhatsApp her or whatever.
Yeah.
If she has that ability.
Yeah.
And then in conjunction with that, I commented this on Precious's, so we'll see that when I talk about hers as well. But we talked a little bit about the professors at University of Bemenda. I don't know if there's an opportunity there for mentorship, especially for our younger cohort members. We have mentors for all of our women who are technically not in academics, and I think that's great. But I think it's nice for especially our young women to have mentors who are academic, and seeing women succeed in the field that they want to go into and that look like them and talk like them and they have a way to relate. I think that's really important. And they'll serve as a role model. And I think Seraphin also obviously serves as, a mother figure for a lot of these girls. But I think taking a community approach to this will be really beneficial.
I agree.
And incentivize, I think, getting some mentors over from the University of Bemenda in some way.
I think it'll actually also reinforce the importance of a mutually satisfying relationship. It's not, you know what I mean, with the community. The mentors helping the community, I don't know, I think there's an opportunity to have a connection there or
Yep.
a relationship there,
Exactly.
a stronger relationship, and get the doctors or the medical professionals in line with the academic medical professionals. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Along
Yep.
with cohort members, and this could just be, um, um, incorporating them as guest speakers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which
And I think
might,
that will help a lot with reality testing as well, because I think when you see, especially like when I was like looking at medical providers, like I never saw myself because I always held them on this pedestal. But I think really like humanizing them by having a community interaction is so important
mm-hmm.
for these girls and women to see that they can also achieve these things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think just the idea of guest speakers in different fields, perhaps, you know what I mean?
Yep, and it doesn't just have to be medicine. There's a lot
Yeah.
of I looked at some of their faculty. They had a lot of like faculty in like agriculture, sustainment, engineering. So it's something. I know we had one speaker come in, and I think everyone like loved that session. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they did. But that's a great that's really like goes to, I'd put that in, how do we build this program stronger for the next cohort? What might we do differently? Or what might we add? And I think adding guest speakers in different fields is really important. I think the challenge is that, we originally thought we would do twice a month, and that really gives us an opportunity to do a lot of different types of things, or get more in depth with a lot of the curriculum, or offer guest speakers, and with it going down to once a month, it kind of is like, okay, wait a second, we really have to stay focused on the curriculum,
right,
and getting them what they need. Seraphin has asked about, what about continuing the same cohort into the next year? And I'm all for that. And that's where you can then maybe have it become more broad based and do things like this, or things more outside of just the curriculum.
So I wonder if there could be a second year curriculum. So like instead of them going through the same thing, they don't necessarily, like they might meet twice a month then, because they might come when the new cohort's there, but they have their own separate day where we could also do group, like guest speakers. We could also do things like, for example, the women with children, like I could do a teaching on like child CPR, or, child basic life support, that, like things that,
that would be great. You could do a video on it.
Exactly.
And
or like even if we could do like I don't know if we're able to do like a live video with them where they can ask questions as well, but
it might be something down the road that we can do. The only I would do both, right? Okay. I would have the video and then offer that other part, a live presentation of it. But if for some reason, the internet, the connection, sometimes are good, sometimes are bad. 1 minute is good, the next minute is bad. So you just want to be able to do both. And I know that way, if they can't, and sometimes what happens is she has to download that because of where they are. Now they are in a new place. And I haven't shown you the pictures yet, but they have a conference table, a beautiful wooden conference table, and wooden chairs.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh, right? So who's to say that their connection, the internet connection, isn't better? Or what we could do, which might even be maybe a more efficient way to do this, is that you do shoot a video and then you come on live to answer questions.
Right.
I think that's and I think that's a phenomenal offering, especially for the moms who have children.
Right.
And the other thing is that you could, and when you do that, we could actually add that to my website. You could blog on that. You can add that to our website, and that way it's like a web. It's not just for our cohort. It's for anybody who really doesn't have access to learn what this is. Even in our United States of America, How many
Right.
parents know child CPR? I didn't.
Right.
And I'm not, I mean, I grew up in with very little money, but my children weren't raised in poverty, as you know.
Right.
I didn't learn child CPR. I think that's a great offering across the board, and then to
Right.
take a Q&A from them is a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And that might even put uh, um, help Florence to realize that, give her that inspiration or
Mm-hmm.
motivation to hang in there. It's going to happen. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to see you, a woman in action,
Right.
I think there's all good. All of this is good. I can't even think of a negative for that. You know what I mean?
Right. And there's a bunch of different classes that we can do. Like I'm a certified Stop the Bleed instructor too, which is like the American Colleges of Surgeons made this course after the Sandy Hook shooting
Mm-hmm.
to talk about how civilians in the field can help stop life-threatening bleeds and what to look for and how much pressure to apply and that kind of stuff. So that's also something super relevant for the environment that they're all living in.
It sure is.
Right.
Yes.
So there's that. I know my peers are in a bunch of different fields. Like my peers who are pursuing OB-GYN, I'm sure would love to have a conversation about, reproductive health. And I have friends who do lactation consultants, like if they have questions about breastfeeding or nutrition for their children. So we can go on about this, but I think a second year curriculum where we can teach life skills
Mm-hmm.
and help in that front, because I know people here don't get that education. Like
No.
I didn't know child CPR either until I started medical school, right?
Yeah.
So
No.
I still need to brush up on it, and I'm going into pediatrics. So
I think this is now, if all our cohort members had phones, we could just say to them, and they could, okay, Ronnie just did a video on blah, blah, blah. Go to the video, look at it, download it. People,
right.
This is a you can do some videos where you can just put out there, some videos where, you'll do a Q&A, but they could actually do a Q&A with you online. They could send you a question off your video,
Right.
and you would have contact with them and answer that question. And I think it also adds credibility to your title on our website of medical advisor. I think these are really, these are like self-help type of opportunities. And I think if everyone has a phone, they can actually, we don't have to stop, have this incorporated into the agenda. We can just say, you know what? Hey, this is your home play.
Right.
Go and watch this video. And when you come back, we can answer any questions about it. We can do a live Q&A if necessary. Not every video you shoot will have a live, we'll probably want to do a live Q&A. Let's say, or they could just ask questions and I can ask them to you. You can get back to them. We can do a handout on it.
Right.
You could shoot.
I know a lot of these courses as well will have a post quiz. It's very a short, kind of assessing if you understood it.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll help me realize what questions might arise or if I need to clarify certain things as well.
And we could also do a handout with each video and highlighting the essence of whatever techniques there are or whatever checklist of this or that or whatever,
Right.
And that way we say to them, here's the video, go online and see it. But here's a handout, or she downloads it and shows it until everyone has a phone. There's definitely a solution along the way. But I have to say, one of the things that I absolutely love, and what I think is just brilliant about this program, is that we talk about it being adaptive and being flexible and growth oriented and always building. It can always be built better, built stronger. And here we are, we're debriefing Florence, and we're talking about her wanting to be in the medical field. And now we springboarded onto this other stuff, right? With having guest speakers in different fields, not just the medical, but also now brainstorming really about how and what our other offerings can be that are more focused and more pertinent moving forward. And I just I think it's just it just makes me feel, it does my heart good to just listen, and as we debrief and we find all these wonderful ways to make it better and to help these people, and not only these cohort members, but it's so generic across the board. Think about it. Think about all of the other cultures and the different, and all the people who live in poverty, all of the different organizations who can actually pick up these videos, right? And use them for their own sake. I mean, I have so many people contact me, every other day about, can I help them and all of these things, and I can then offer this. It's one of the reasons I wanted to do the website with the blogs, because I can forward that information to them. And I think that you'll have a really strong platform to really help people across the board, not just one cohort,
Right.
I think it's awesome.
Right. And I think there's more than just the education in the video here that's going to help, because I think me making it not a really crazy scientific structured rigid video, and instead just being a personable individual teaching will do a lot to help our younger, especially women in our cohort, see that I'm also a human just like them, and they can do these things,
Right. Yeah.
And it'd be nice to get a few different people, right? So even if Alex is doing something emergency medicine related, it'd be nice that you see somebody else teaching it.
Well, I'll tell you, the diversity and offering diversity in these videos, I think, would be extremely beneficial. For one thing, to see men in a male nurse would be great. A male doctor, or just whatever, whether it's African American.
Like my OB-GYN, my friends that are pursuing OB-GYN, they're both males. So I think that's a conversation we could have too, but I think that would be great for them to see as well. I'm not sure what the culture is like in Bemenda, if most of the OB-GYNs are female, but we know that that's kind of our culture here. So like normalizing men in OB-GYN.
Well, I know that
helpful for their comfort too.
I know that Seraphin, I know that all the doctors that Seraphin has seen thus far have been male. So to have I don't know. That's a question for Seraphin, and I can ask that. What's the percentage of male, female nurses, doctors, just medical professionals in Cameroon, in Northwest, because it'd probably be different. Would be interesting. And really,
we could do like a dental hygiene type thing too. So I'll reach out to my dentistry friends. Let me just write this down so I don't forget.
Also, it'd be interesting to see what the percentage is also in the differing professions. What was engineering, agricultural, faith-based, all of that. Because one of the things when we started this was one of our main objectives was to break down the cultural barriers, not just in regards to human trafficking, but also in how families, the family unit, the family dynamics, male, female, the different genders and all of that. So we have a real good opportunity to be working with these people to break those barriers, who can go back to their families, their family members, friends, or whatever, and say, hey, look this is what's going on. And I just watched a video with this, or, with a male nurse. the other thing that I'm just writing down, which I think is a great idea, is, we could do videos for children. Now, a lot of times the cohort members have children and they have to bring the children in. Now, wouldn't it be great if these kids, I say kids, but these cohort members who are younger, every time we have a cohort meeting, one of them volunteer to do some babysitting, right, for the children. And so these children are learning on a age-related, age-appropriate level the same kinds of things, the emotional curriculum, because I do have one for very, very young, and it's just about, with games or whatever. But I think that would be another thing on how to make this program better, is to offer, babysitting services for, the cohort members, because a lot of times, they're worried about their kids. I mean, we've been doing a pretty good job of incorporating them, I think, and keeping them occupied. But, wouldn't it be great to have someone to watch them? We could do videos for the kids too. I mean, there's just so much we could do,
Right.
But just to get back to Florence, yeah, as she gets older, her independence will. I think that'll be a byproduct, really, of her making choices better. Making good choices, I should say, by herself. I think it's normal for a younger person to ask for advice or what people think, or sometimes, sometimes younger people don't have a good, strong, independent score because they're told what to do. They're not even given the opportunity to make that choice, So, 53 points. Amazing. So, anything else about Florence that you can think of?
No, I know we kind of got on a tangent with her, but I think it was good.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop.